What up guys, how's it going? Steve talking there, coming right back at you with another gaming related video, because sadly I just finished my con video. If you haven't seen it yet, I think it's like somewhere up here or over here or whatever, but yeah, I can do the thing with linking other videos so that way you can see it. It's my IkiCon video. It's going to be the last con video for a long time, at least a couple months, because I know most of the summer cons have been canceled or been pushed back or delayed or something like that, so I'm not going to see any for a long time. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about today's topic. I mean, there's a topic I definitely wanted to talk about on how, my fellow pandemic brethren, ladies and gals and fellas and fellers and all that good stuff. So yeah, we're kind of on a lockdown right now. However, one thing I wanted to talk about that I don't think anybody's really talking about, how 2020 has actually been like the year for, if a lockdown was going to happen for us gamers, this is the year it needed to happen. This is the time, literally the exact freaking window all this craziness needed to go down in terms of isolation, at least for us. I mean, because we got Final Fantasy 7 right here, we got Doom Eternal running on my PC right now. I mean, not to mention that, we just had literally all these great games like Animal Crossing, Resident Evil 3, Persona 5 Royale, you're already seeing the Final Fantasy 7 stuff. But yeah, dude, within, just a short span of time, literally all the great games that we know of coming out this year have already been released. I mean, of course, we'll talk about other games, coming, and, even events, updates from Animal Crossing. Splatoon 2 just announced they're bringing back a Splatfest in May, so it's just all these cool, good events. Honestly, this has been one of the best gaming years in a long time, since 2017, when we got so many good titles in one year we didn't know what to do with. But anyway, guys, so let's actually get into a little bit more further details. I like to share that gameplay and share my thoughts and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and do that part. I would say during these crazy times, but these times are anything but crazy, as you're forced to be confined to your living quarters. However, during these, whatever you want to call them times, one gets stir crazy due to lack of things to do. I mean, if you want some action adventure, you basically just got to go to the grocery store these days, and that's the most action and stress and drama you'll have in your life at the moment. So there is one group of people, however, that are not really affected by this lockdown, and in most cases just gave them the life they wanted, because they don't have a job eating up all their time, or they don't have to engage in social calls anymore. Yes, I am talking about the ever reclusive gamer. This may be the worst year that ever happened to them, and let me go into detail as to why. Of course, to be honest, I feel that 2017 was the last really great gaming year. Pretty much one of the best years I've ever personally experienced in gaming, period. I mean, Nintendo alone had Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, Metroid Samus Returns, but those were just all heavy hitters to my fanboyisms. But outside of those, we got, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, Nier Automata, Destiny 2, which is still considered one of the great ongoing multiplayer games today, Sonic Mania, great game, PUBG, Fortnite, to the indie hits like Cuphead, Night in the Woods, Hollow Knight, and of course the list of AAA and indie classics go on forever. It can be its own video. I mean, 2017 was literally one of the best gaming years to ever exist, period. That being such a rock solid year made 2018 and 2019 releases just feel, bland. I feel like I had to wait so long between releases for those 2 years that I still needed to rely on 2017's miraculous backlog for proper satisfaction in games. But now enter 2020, the year of 2019's delayed games. Games like Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing and The Last of Us Part 2 all got pushed back to spring 2020 releases. At first we were all salty about it, but once this mandatory quarantine happened, I feel like this is great. I feel that it is safe to say that we're one of the best, we have one of the best, spring gaming years that we've ever had in a long time. Currently on the market, we have pretty much, half the year's most anticipated titles all released within mere weeks from each other. Literally just 1 week one game, the next week the other, and I'm mostly here to talk about the biggest ones today. So let's introduce our lockdown lovelies. First up, we got Animal Crossing New Horizons. Next, Doom Eternal, and of course Resident Evil 3, Persona 5, Royale, and the Final Fantasy 7 Remake. But we'll go into more details about those later. Now, I've already made a video about Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal and what I think about them, all that good stuff. You can go watch that, in the upper left or upper right. I can't remember exactly where it's at. But anyway, I can confirm I love them much more after spending time with both of them. The two communities mean them together so hard that marketing budget for those games literally needed to pay the fans for doing the job. These were supposed to be two of 2019's biggest holiday titles, only to get pushed back to spring 2020. But thank the Lord it did. Oh gosh. Animal Crossing has proven itself time and time again, and to be a really big time eater. And not only for gamers, but casual players as well. A lot of people have basically made the Switch non-existent on the market because they're trying to get that Switch for Animal Crossing. Of course, Animal Crossing fans have invaded Twitter by legions, showing their creation of memes, art, in-game creations like shirts, art of Kingdom Hearts and anime stuff on their walls or on their floors, and we're just basically all loving it. Whether it is decking out your house, your town, there is always that one thing that will hook you for hours in Animal Crossing. I personally only want to get my museum aquarium to be top notch, so though I do not time travel myself, I do take advantage of those who do, and I ask them to go to their island because your boy needs those fish. I definitely want my aquarium to be as awesome and great as it can be. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the next game, Doom Eternal. Like I said, I've already talked about these games a whole lot in a previous video, so I'm not going to spend too much time here. But Doom Eternal is proving to be not only just a great fast-paced action game with rockin'-ass music to boot, but I find myself thirsty for every little collectible, just so hungry for it, and the blood I need to spill to get it, just going there and killing all those demons again in multiple levels. It just feels awesome, unique every time. Obviously things may go better the second round or first round, but it's always awesome. They spawn at different places. So the design motivates you to want to get better, so you can feel more badass as you rip and tear, those awful mean old demons that killed your bunny. And then of course the more satisfaction comes, when you get good with something like, the super shotgun, for example. Using that grapple makes me want to just use that weapon and nothing else. Now that I got it down, I'm I want to keep using it. I gotta keep using it. Raw, it's just so fun. Of course, I've already beaten this game on stream, so you probably won't see that game anymore in terms of my streams, but I'm actually going to keep still playing it because there's a bunch of levels where I missed items, so I have to go back and get all 100% of those collectibles because this game is just that awesome. This game is just that amazing, and honestly, it's literally one of the best single-player FPS games I've played in years, so it's just great. I'm kind of glad I invested it early, and it's just crazy to me how the first game was so good. The 2016 Doom, basically the sequel to Doom 64. But yeah, it just rocks my world how that game was so awesome, and they approved upon it so much. I didn't think that was possible. How did you make a great game even better? A few complaints here and there, nothing too crazy, but overall the experience is so great that the small bad stuff doesn't even matter. But anyway, like I said, we've already kind of went on with these two games enough, so let's go ahead and go on to Resident Evil 3. Resident 3 had big shoes to fill, as Resident Evil 2 was nominated for several Game of the Year awards, and was a masterful remake of an already classic game. It was also, Resident Evil 3 was also my first horror game as a child, and it scared the crap out of me. However, this game seemed to miss the mark with a lot of fans, even though it was still a great game to me. I liked it. By all means, the original Resident Evil 3 was already short, and people either forgot about that, or they just were expecting more out of the remake. I also beat one side of Resident Evil 2 in about 10 hours, and it looks like Resident Evil 3 is going to be about the same. Actually, when I did beat it on stream, it did end up being 9 hours and some change. I think it was 9:52 to be exact. And then when I went back to my PlayStation Vita and checked my completion hours of Resident Evil 3, it was also 9 hours and some change. Resident Evil 2 always had two sides of the, I guess you say, of the same story and a true ending for completing both. Yet people were surprised about our Resident Evil 3 doing the same thing, just kind of being short, kind of being a one run through game, not too much additional content afterwards. There was the mercenary mode, but it didn't really do too much. And I get they could have done more, but I personally am very happy for what I paid for. Jill's design changed, which I was kind of disappointed about, but it actually really grew on me, and I'm falling for her. She's still very lovely, and of course, she still looks great in her more practical zombie survival getup. And, Capcom was pretty generous with, the fan service and good angles for her, so that was still appreciated. Another complaint is that they changed so much about Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 2 was so close to the classic that changing 3 completely is a pretty big shock to the community. I personally appreciated the change. It made the game feel so new, fresh, and honestly, I liked it. I mean, yeah, the clock tower wasn't there. I mean, I was scratching at my head a bit on what they were doing, but as the time went on, I appreciated the new locations, appreciated the new boss fights, and the fact that Capcom was able to pull this much great polish and animation and voice acting, a year from, Resident Evil 2 release is actually pretty impressive. It says, I have no interest in their multiplayer mode, so I would have rather those efforts go into the story more, like making it longer, maybe putting back the clock tower in there. But I mean, I would have wanted the game a bit longer too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but with Resident Evil 2 getting surprise free DLC, who's to say that it won't happen again this time? I mean, that after credit scene though, I mean, I don't know if you saw that, but there's an after credit scene on Resident Evil 3 that maybe can continue the game or go on to the next game. I mean, by all means, I don't think the Resident Evil 3 will get any Game of the Year nominations like Resident Evil 2 did. And since we're all on lockdown and we can spend more time gaming, I feel like it may have gotten unjust flack for being short because, we all have more time to play video games. So it's just like, obviously, a 10-hour game run through is going to be easy during, these pandemic times, I guess you could say. I personally love this game, and I will play it several times. I'm already like 3/4 of the way through my second playthrough, and it makes me want to play the Resident Evil 2 HD version all over again. And of course, Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1 that were ported to PS4, I never got to play those, so now I'm looking at playing those again at some point. But I think they're like pretty cheap at GameStop now. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about the next game. If length of that game upsets you, then maybe the JRPG route that usually lasts 40 hours plus may be the better bang for your buck. I mean, if so, 2 highly anticipated titles also dropped this spring. We got Persona 5 Royale, or Royal, depending on your region, which was one of the more successful JRPGs of like the PlayStation 4, Xbox One generation. And, even the story ended up getting its own anime, just like, Persona 3 and Persona 4 did. And, of course, sold well enough to get a re-release with additional content, characters, and locations. Persona 5 has that typical partial Sims aspects of doing your daily life stuff, your chores, going to work to boost your combat stats. And like in previous game, it has a great catchy soundtrack. I mean, I always hear people, singing, the You Never See It Coming theme all the time. And of course, fans of the franchise will see callbacks to previous Persona games. I mean, I saw a Rise Kujikawa poster in somebody's playthrough at one point, and she's from Persona 4. Now, I haven't played this one yet, but I do own it, because, I knew there would be a re-release with the additional content, and, I knew that I guess you could say that newer version would be considered canon. I mean, all the spin-offs are typically based on the re-released version of the game, so I kind of wanted the full experience. I mean, it was the same way with Persona 3, I played FES, and Persona 4, I actually played Golden first. Persona 5 has, of course, a lot of people hooked in the franchise in general. I mean, I noticed it was the first one they've played, and so far the only one they played, so it is a good place to start. But I am kind of sad if they're interested in Persona 3 and 4, it'll be a little bit harder going back into those games after playing 5, because 5 is so pretty. But if you are looking for 100+ hours of great games, great soundtracks, the Persona franchise is definitely it. But I'm not going to talk too much about this game because, like I said, I haven't played it yet. I knew this game would take me a long time, so I started playing another JRPG-based game I started playing another JRPG game first before this one because I knew this one would take less time. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about that. Since we're on the topic of remakes and re-releases, one of gaming's most anticipated remake is finally out. Yes, or at least partially out. Yes, I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Fans have been thirsty for this one since the PlayStation 3 tech demo showing, the PS3's power. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember that, but yeah, back in the day, PlayStation 3 kind of did the Final Fantasy VII intro as a tech demo to show off the PS3's power. But it was never really realized until a few months before the end of the PlayStation 4's life cycle. And no one's gonna doubt that the remaining 2 or 3 games will be on PS5. According to my homies, this game goes on for about 30 to 50 hours, and others on the internet are kind of saying the same thing. The crazy part is that this isn't even the full game, so Square Enix is taking a really great care of pretty much their all-time biggest timeless hit and giving it the love and care it deserves. Apparently, I was lucky enough to get one at my local GameStop. I mean, an actual physical copy with the curbside pickup thing that they were doing after the release, since I was asked so much about it. I mean, so many people were asking me, hey, you gonna play this game? You gonna play this game? You gonna play this game? It's like, I want to, I need to, but I got so many other games to play. But I was able to just said screw it, I'm gonna go get it. And now the physical copy is sold out everywhere, and everywhere I look, it is marked up in price. So is Animal Crossing apparently. So I'm so glad I got both when I did, and I've just honestly was just like surprised. Like, it was like magic. As soon as I got them, bam, they were hard to find. But yeah, so anyway, back to Final Fantasy VII. I almost entirely forgot the original game because I was like so young when I played it, and I was such a huge Nintendo fan back in the day. Even today, like this, I haven't like finished this game in over a decade, almost 2 decades. So it's just like, oh dude, I like can't remember. I don't know why, just that game didn't really stick to me as much. I mean, I remember the small key details here and there, but like honestly, this game feels brand new again. But can't say too much as of it right now. Besides the voice acting is great. The game looks pretty. I mean, obviously you've seen the first part of my stream. I just started playing it yesterday. I'm only like 5 hours deep, but this game definitely shows what the PS4 was truly capable of, and it's currently a timed exclusive that will be accessible to other platforms in a year. So I'm curious as to how it'll look on PC. Because I got a top-notch PC right now, so I mean, I can't wait to give it a shot. But I mean, I definitely want to play it now, PS4, because the original was a PlayStation 1 exclusive, and it took 3 generations, PlayStation 2, 3, and 4, for us to finally get just a piece of this game. And of course, it is inevitable that the remainder will release on PlayStation 5, and the likelihood of being released on PS5 again, in terms of like the first part, is probably going to happen first before we get part 2 or part 3 or part 4. I definitely feel like, yeah, that's going to happen first. They're going to port over the first version of PlayStation 5 before we see the rest. But marketing strategy, I get it. I know it'll make some fans upset, but calling it now, before we get part 2, they're going to re-release part 1 on PlayStation 5. I mean, so I definitely see it'll be a hot minute. But yeah, I mean, the combat's different. The combat's I don't know. I can't get too deep about the combat because I'm still getting used to it. I mean, the hack and slash with the weapons and then still doing the commands, it's going to take me some time to get used to, but I like it. Like, I know it has a lot of potential, and I know it has an ease of use. It's just that I'm not into it yet. Like, I'm going to need a few more hours, and then I'll probably be able to be beastly at it. But like, it's not a hard combat system. It's just a very, oh no, the minute I panic, I forget everything. But that'll take time, experience, everything like that. And why does Tifa-chan have to be like a whole damn angel right now? Like, she is adorably gorgeous. She's like so wholesome and beautiful. Like, I feel bad about all the Rule 34 that's like happening to her right now, because after meeting her in HD and spending more time with her than you do in the original, and hearing her talk and getting to know her feelings a lot better, I just feel like she's such a wholesome being and so precious, and I have to protect. Give her the biggest hug and all the head pats. But anyway, guys, I can go on and on about this game, and I haven't even played much of it yet. This game does motivate me to replay the original. Like, I'll probably get like the Switch version or something, so that way I can remember most of it and kind of see what happens. Because this game only goes so far, and I'm going to want to know the rest of the story afterwards, so I probably would want to play it again at some point. But for now, since everybody wanted me to stream the actual remake version of the game, I will focus on that. But anyway, enough about that game. Let's go ahead and talk about something else. Even though it feels like most of our Game of the Year nominees have already basically been released, some honorable mentions of upcoming titles still need to be stated, as they will make 2020 one of the best recent years in gaming, so they'll also contribute to that. Of course, as far as we know, Cyberpunk is still scheduled for release for this generation, and a lot of good things have been coming when they did do announcements, like the gameplay footage. It looks great, and of course Keanu Reeves, all that cool stuff. I mean, the graphics look very pretty, and of course time will tell what the end result will be, like if we'll like this game or hate this game. But so far, everything that I'm seeing, it looks like a game that I would overall enjoy. The Last of Us Part 2 was supposed to be a May release, and it did get delayed indefinitely, but my hopes and wishes are that they will still release it this year. I mean, I think it'll be a dual platform for a PS5 and PS4 release. I mean, honestly, I think this is really just a marketing strategy, because nobody had problems releasing their games during this time. Absolutely nobody. kind of crazy how they're the only ones that are. I mean, they probably just need more time to make that, you know, PS4, PS5 compatibility possible, to where it can re-release on both, or release on both. I mean, Nintendo did the same thing with Breath of the Wild for the Wii U and the Switch. I mean, you know, they delayed the Breath of the Wild version so many times, and eventually just were like, oh yeah, by the way, what we were all thinking all along, we're gonna put it on the Switch too, was actually announced. I mean, we all know PlayStation loves to copy Nintendo, so I mean, pretty sure that's what they're doing, because it worked for Nintendo. It'll probably work for PlayStation, especially for a big title like Last of Us Part 2. But honestly, I think that's what's going to happen. It'll still release this year. It's just going to be on PS5 and PS4, and they just need a little bit more time to do that. But I mean, I wish they did it what they did The Last of Us on the PS3, where at the end of the generation they released the PS3 version of The Last of Us, and then later on ported it to PS4. But, you know, I know video game companies are all about making money still, so they still got to do this. And of course, speaking of Nintendo, they have been crazy silent on what is coming this holiday release. Like, we literally have absolutely nothing in terms of what we have coming past May. I mean, we got, you know, Xenoblade Chronicles, the Definitive Edition, and so far that's all we know. Usually by now they announce what's coming for the holidays, and E3 is the time they give us all the details. You know, I already made a video about all this. If you can, you know, if you want to check that out, I'll link it up in one of the corners. I can't remember which corner it is right now. But so far, all we have is random news articles of Best Buy having SKUs of Paper Mario 3D World, Metroid Prime Trilogy, of course, the new Paper Mario / you know, past Mario HD collections for the 35th anniversary. It's all just rumors and speculations and supposedly SKUs popping up and being deactivated. But we have no real definitive stuff on what's coming out holiday 2020 for Nintendo, and I'm sure it'll be great, because I know, again, Nintendo is a company that needs to make money and make their investors happy, so they're gonna have to release something for, you know, their third and fourth quarters to make us and their investors happy, because they gotta prove that they're making that money. And Nintendo stated themselves they will do a Nintendo Direct this June. And we're just going to have to wait for then till reveals, because I know they're not going to try to, like, make money this holiday with pure Pokemon DLC being their heavy hitter. Because, I mean, though it's great, I'm excited for it, I don't think that's going to be the big money maker. But anyway, guys, now that we got those honorable mentions out of the way, it's time to close that video out. Alright guys, so with, like, the honorable mentions, the games that are already out, and of course the games that we still don't know coming out, and, like, you know, the rest of the year, because, you know, Nintendo still hasn't done their announcements. Usually a lot of people wait for E3 to do some, like, surprise announcements, but since we're not going to have that this year, people are going to kind of announce and release things on their own. But let's see what they say. But yeah, dude, don't you think this has, like, been a pretty strong gaming year just in general for, like, gamers? Like, dude, like, game of the year 2020 is going to be a hard nut to crack. I mean, there's just, like, so many good titles that are out, so many good titles that are supposed to come out, and still some unannounced titles. Who knows? Maybe if, like, this kind of, like, June period or E3, like with the Nintendo Direct and everything, even if that doesn't announce, like, a lot of good, awesome games for the end of this year, we still have a pretty strong lineup for 2020. And honestly, like, this has been one of the years that I've been glad I'm a gamer, and since all these games literally came out, like, within months of each other, like, not even months, like weeks, like, not even a month between, they all came out, like, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks apart. So just, like, the fact that we had so much content, especially during the time when lockdown was going to be at its strongest. I mean, some places are opening up now, but let's not get into that. It's a whole nother topic. Wear your face mask, wash your hands, be safe. And it's just like, wow, dude, this was really a great year. This is really, like, just gaming is just kicking ass this year. I mean, not just Nintendo. I mean, I love Nintendo, as you can tell. I mean, but, like, you know, PlayStation, PC, like, I'm, like, I dusted off my PS4 controller, because it became a Netflix and Crunchyroll machine after a while, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the Switch, I'm loving the Switch so much. But yeah, I mean, the PC, I mean, I built this thing to kind of see, you know, what it can do, and then of course Doom Eternal, throwing that on there, and oh my god, Doom Eternal looks fantastic on PC. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits. I'm gonna dip. I think I've ranted on long enough. Thank you very much for watching this video. I know my gaming videos aren't as popular as my con videos, but do give a like, do give a share, or if you just want to have a discussion, you know, just shout out in the comments. You know, I like to respond to people's comments and stuff, whether it be my social medias or my videos, so please how free, you know, let's have a discussion. I mean, we're all on lockdown, let's have some fun. I mean, hopefully this ends smartly and not dumb. I mean, a lot of people are lost their jobs, so and if all these people get, all right, anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. Gaming, let's focus on gaming. All right, guys, so anyway, thank you very much for stopping by, and of course we'll see you next time.